guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with some more Total War Warhammer. Today we've got something extra special for you, the first of many, hopefully modded battles. Today me and JonTaun are going to be facing off using Cataph's Southern Realms with the Regiment of Renown add-on. I'll be playing as Estalia, and JonTaun is taking Tilea. So going to be a good time. We can go over some of the new units and spotlight some different things as we go through the battle. And definitely a fun mod. Would highly recommend you guys go check it out. I will link to it in the description. Let's just get right started. So we've got a front line here of swordsmen, and even though these are stat-wise the same as the Empire swordsmen, you can see they do have unique skins. You know, they've got different shield patterns. Some of them have these big round shields. Some of them have the Bretonnian style shield. So very, very cool overall. Definitely look great. We've got some of these great sword infantry. They're not quite as good as great swords stats-wise. They have a little bit less armor and just less overall, but they're still very good. Armor piercing, anti-infantry, pretty good infantry overall. And let's see. These swordsmen I was showing you, these are the basic swordsmen. You can see some of them have funny hats, and they're not quite as heavily armored. These guys are actually the adventurers, so they're kind of like swordsmen. You can see they're got comparable stats, just a little bit better overall, and more heavily armored with better weapon strength. So that's the front line there. Here on the flanks supporting, we've got Leopold's Leopard Company. This is one of the Regiments of Renown units of pikemen. Very, very cool looking with their leopard furs and their beautiful armor. Very, very nice. We've also got just a standard unit of spearmen. As I said, you guys can see they're reskinned, so even the basic Empire units will look unique with this mod. Looking very, very cool. We do have these noble retinue who are kind of look like Reiksguard with no shields. They're elite heavy shock cavalry, obviously. They've got a bonus versus large, good charge bonus, decent combat stats, 120 armor. You know, kind of what you pay for. And this is definitely one of my favorite units in the mod, the Royal Guard. They're kind of heavily armored handgunners. You can see they've got 65 armor, okay combat stats at 20 attack and defense, not great, but 28 weapon strength. And yeah, they do of course have armor piercing missiles. Good time. Over here I've got another Regiment of Renown unit of pikemen. This is the Al-Qatani Fellowship. So these guys have Encourage, as well as having beefed up stats, and these guys here have immune to psychology, so they're going to be not easily routed. And yeah, just another noble retinue over here. And for my lord, I do have this legendary lord added by this mod. She kind of looks like a vampire, but a little more human. She does have poison attacks, lore of death, as well as some cool unique abilities that I'll be showcasing throughout the battle. Over here we'll get started on my opponent's forces. I just discovered he's got these Anaconda's Amazons, bit of a mouthful, and they are another Regiment of Renown, kind of like War Dancers. They're high damage, low armor, Vanguard deployment. They do have a 15% ward save as well, so that's pretty good. Great combat stats, good weapon strength, but they are going to get spotted by these noble retinue, and it's not going to be a good time for them. You can see the charge order now issuing here. We'll get a nice view of this charge as these beautiful noble retinue get in here and do quite a bit of damage. These units are very beautiful as well. The Amazons, very, very cool. And if I'm not mistaken, these guys are actually based in Lestria, so who knows, we may actually see them implemented someday. For now, they're getting pretty well lanced by the noble retinue. Very, very cool. For the rest of my opponent's army, he's got pikes in the center here, one of them being Perazzo's Lost Legion, which is another Regiment of Renowned pikemen. They've got special missile attack, so you can see it's a 5-time use, projectile range of 160. They basically just pull out crossbows and shoot them. It's a pretty cool ability, definitely gives them a unique flavor. 2 more regular pikemen backed up by the Cursed Company. So this is actually a unit of skeletons that have, I'm not sure exactly what the lore is behind these guys, but they are cursed and they're still mercenaries, so I guess they still need to make a living somehow. And they actually have this guy here who's the company commander. We actually come look at this, Richter Kruger, I guess is his name. But he actually gives them regeneration and some other things, so very cool. We've also got a unit of dwarf warriors. So the Southern Realms adds basically mercenary dwarf units. You can take like a cannon or an Oregon gun or basic dwarf warriors. For JonTaun's general, he's got the very, very good looking Borgio the Besieger, one of my favorite characters added by this mod. Looks very, very cool. He's got good armor piercing damage, great combat stats, good leadership, 115 armor, some good abilities here, physical resistance, all that good stuff. He's also got these Knights in Carmine, who have 2 swords. Very cool looking units. They're more of an anti-infantry focused cavalry unit. You can see they've got a bonus versus infantry of 8, 120 armor, 30 charge bonus. It's a little bit more of a melee focused. Over here, let's see, what else? We've got the Curse Company. He's also got 2 of these Pavis crossbowmen, who are kind of like heavily armored crossbowmen. They've got the shield on their backs, so they do have a block chance, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, it is a, let's see, 55% block chance, so very good. Kind of like Corlers. He's also got these Paymaster Bodyguard, who are kind of a support halberd unit. They give a leadership buff, as well as some basic Spearmen, who have, of course, been reskinned to be unique. Although these ones do look a bit more like the basic Empire units, but still. He's also got this, basically like a Myrmidia warrior priest. So Myrmidia, I guess, is the god of the sun, or the god of light. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway. So they have this guy as an alternate. He's got similar abilities, leadership aura, as well as an immune to psychology aura, so very good stuff. And he also has, yeah, the Knights in Carmine. I got those guys, and I believe there was one more here. Where did they go? Ah, yes, over here helping to support this fight now are some light cavalry, Al-Mukhtar's Desert Dogs. So these guys are very cool looking, kind of an Arabian theme, and you know, I really hope we get Araby in a future DLC. I feel like that would be really, really cool. But for now, we'll just have to live with the Desert Dogs, so they're going to be a good time. And I believe I've covered everything. Light Wizard, not too much to talk about. You guys are familiar with him. So we'll get things kicked off here as JonTaun's forces clash into the front line. And as you can see, I did not get a good charge off, or a charge off at all, so I will suffer a little bit in this fight. I'm going to bring in my Sorcerer to support, as well as dropping a Spirit Leech on this Templar of Myrmidia. Over here, he's going to get a great charge in with his Knights in Carmine. This is exactly the kind of fight they want to be in against these adventurers, and they're going to do a great job at doing some damage, and then immediately pull away as Borgio himself cycles in. And Borgio actually causes fear, as well as being a great combatant. So they're going to try and get rid of these adventurers real quick. You can see some nice fire coming in from the Royal Guard. The heavy gunners were detaching some spearmen out here as well to help deal with the Desert Dogs, who did get a nice rear charge and are helping clean up the noble retinue. So tough for me. Here in the center, things are going okay, but we did get a little bit of a break here with these adventurers. So I'm going to pull in my general, Lucrezia Belladonna, which is going to be a big-time mistake. She does not want to have any part of this fight, as I learned. And, you know, she's definitely more of a caster legendary lord. You do not want to put her in a fight like this. So she's going to get majorly beat down here. She's going to drop a Spirit Leech on Borgio, but it won't do a whole lot to him. You can see she's still getting whopped on pretty hard. And she's going to actually rout. And, yeah, her leadership is not great. So another good swipe by Borgio. And she's actually going to shatter here. So very unfortunate for me to lose my leader that early. Great pick by JonTaun. She's pretty much out of here at this point. So I was able to get in the rear lines with these noble retinue. Got some good damage done on those Pavis crossbowmen, but I'm having to pull away from the Paymaster's bodyguard. Going to land a beautiful rear charge against these spearmen here. And Borgio is going to come try and support, but, you know, those spearmen just took a wallop, and they're going to most likely get out of there. The infantry fight is generally going in my favor, but JonTaun doing a great job pulling around these Al-Mukhtar's Desert Dogs, getting into my Royal Guard. Although they don't have armor piercing, you know, the charge bonus will allow them to deal some damage there, getting a rear charge and now just continuously pulling away. Same thing with these Knights in Carmine over here, just harassing in my back line, not allowing me a moment's rest. Over here, I was caught on a bit on the back foot, get a beautiful Ammontok pinning down, net of Ammontok, pinning down these noble retinue. Borgio's getting in there. He's going to smack him around with his armor piercing. That's tough for me. We are getting some of my forces rallying now, and we're going to bring him back in. Can take in these beautiful Leopold's Leopard Company as they battle it out with the Paymaster's bodyguard here. Very, very cool looking units. So you can see there's the actual horse with the pay on it. because I guess these guys are supposed to be like carrying around the chest of gold to pay all the mercenaries with, so that's pretty cool. We did get the Great Sword Infantry break in the center. These Cursed Company are actually holding out very well, because this officer they've got is kind of like a little demi-hero, so he's going to be very hard to take down. Very cool looking units, by the way. I absolutely love the visuals of this mod, and yeah, makes the Southern Realms feel very unique, and they'll have, you know, kind of cool flavor units, and just really love the variety. I hope that we do see the Southern Realms someday as an official faction, but for now, this mod does quite a lot for being, you know, so limited. You can see the Royal Guard getting some nice fire on the last of these Parazzo's Lost Legion here. They do have fairly stable leadership, so they're not going to rout too hard. But now turning the guns to face against the crossbow militia, we have pretty much dealt with most of the cavalry, but the few just still hanging on here with their great leadership. And Borjo's actually going to rout off those noble retinue, having done quite a bit of damage, but you know, their anti-large bonus did allow them to do some in return. And that's going to get a little bit of a break here. The Leopold's Leopard Company are still holding, but guys, these Al-Qatani Fellowship with their Encourage are going to help hold this fight together. Despite the lack of leadership, they do have the Encourage aura, so you guys can see the area of effect of that here. And they're going to help hold all these, you know, shaky units together. And there's just the one Desert Dog here. He's going to get fended off by the heavy gunners here. And they're going to start opening back up, having been freed. There's only the 2 Knights and Carmina here, so they're going to get stabbed down by the swordsman. That one goes down, and the other one's going to decide he wants no part of that. Going to try and get into the Royal Guard, but he will get pretty well smashed there. Kind of a regrouping effort now. We're just trying to get all these guys back in the fight. Hopefully I can have some of my troops rally, getting these noble retinue up in a supporting position. And at this point, these Royal Guard are going to be a tough thing for my opponent to deal with. But you can see he's getting his crossbowmen on there, doing some great damage to these Al-Qatani Fellowship, realizing that they do have a leadership buff. He wants to take them out as quickly as possible, so he's going to get both the Pavis crossbowmen to focus firing. But, you know, with 60 armor, they won't take a whole lot of damage. They will take some, but it won't be incredible. But as you can see here, this officer of the Cursed Company, it's just continuing to hold out. So, what's his name? Kruger? Yeah, Kruger is just continuing to hold out, being a beast, just not breaking. And he actually regenerates, so he's going to be very hard to kill. So I'm just going to ignore him for now and try and push my forces past and get into these crossbowmen, because they're doing a ton of damage to these Al-Qatani Fellowship. And another great net here, trying to pull away these Dwarf Warriors, and Borjo getting back into the regrouped Noble Retinue. But again, the anti-large will allow them to do a bit of damage to him, and that's going to be, you know, all the damage I can do to him is going to be very, very important. So bringing up the handgunners, or sorry, the Royal Guard into position to try and shoot Borjo. Yeah, it's getting very, very close here. But trying to push through and get on these Pavis crossbowmen. You can see they're now getting into combat with these swordsmen here, but this group is still able to fire, so that's going to be pretty rough for me. These Dwarf Warriors still have not routed. They're actually unbreakable right now, so using one of the units there. I didn't really, or excuse me, the abilities. I didn't really go over the abilities a whole lot, but one of them kind of gives an AoE unbreakable effect, gives +8 melee defense, resistant vigor, and unbreakable to like an area of effect. It's a very, very good ability. My general had that, and Borjo had that, as well as a few others. We can take a look after the battle, but Borjo, let's have a look at his abilities actually. So he's difficult to slay. He regenerates if he's below 50%. That's very good to know. He has the Monstrous Mask item, which gives him +15 armor, and that's what gives him the fear as well. He also has constant leadership buff, as well as the Duplicari ability that we saw earlier, and Armor of Brazen Brass, which gives him +20% physical resistance. So definitely a very good legendary lord, some good abilities there. And you can see here, fending off finally the Paymaster's Bodyguard and the Leopard Company, only 2 of them left, but bravely fighting on. Looks like that's actually the officer for the Leopard Company. And yeah, most of the regiments of renown in this have cool officers and characters, and you know, I don't know a lot about the Dogs of War in the lore, but definitely very cool implementation in this mod. You know, get some really cool, unique kind of flavor and these cool characters. And I mean, this guy's still holding out. Holy cow, just an absolute beast. But yeah, it's pretty much just Borjo left for the Tilean forces and Kruger. So they're going to have a pretty rough time here. These handgunners are now going to open up on Borjo, and they will be able to do a fair amount of damage to him. So the Greatsword Infantry are going to take one hit and immediately shatter under the fear from Borjo, so that's pretty tough. But yeah, he really needs to get back into these handgunners, but at this point it's, you know, didn't take too much damage there, but now it looks like he's going to try and get into these adventurers route. Nope, looks like he's turning to come towards the Royal Guard, which is a very good pick, but they are going to be able to somewhat gun him down, although the slope here is not ideal for them to fire on him. But yeah, pretty much all the rest of his forces are wrapped up at this point. You can see the balance of power is starting to go in my favor, and Borjo is going to get in here, but you know, that's going to be about all he's good for. He'll rout, and that'll be game. So, well played to JonTaun. Thanks for playing that modded battle with me. Had a really good time. And yeah, we can take a look at the breakdown. So, Lucrezia probably is not... Yeah, definitely not a combat lord. I guess we can go look at her stats after, but I didn't really pay that much attention. You know, she had some abilities that I thought, hey, if I self-buff with that, maybe I could take out Borjo, but just the timing wasn't there, and Borjo, as you can see, is an absolute beast, 121 kills. So definitely not a fight you want to be taking head up. 152 kills and 100 for these adventurers, 152 for these swordsmen, very good. The Al-Qatani Fellowship and the Leopold's Leopard Company definitely pulling their weight. Noble Retinue each got a chevron, getting some good work done, and the Royal Guard in the end there coming in the clutch. Definitely a cool unit. For JonTaun, Borjo is an absolute beast, one of my favorite characters in the mod, and really, really cool thematically and just cool looking. I don't really know a lot of the lore about him, but he just looks awesome. And, you know, not too much on the spears. The Dwarf Warriors did reasonable, as well as these pikemen. Paymaster Bodyguard did very well. Losing those Anaconda's Amazons early on was pretty rough, considering they're fairly expensive. The Cursed Company, you know, held out for quite a long time. Didn't get a whole lot of kills, but the Lost Legion doing very well. Both the Pavis Crossbowmen getting a respectable number of kills. The Desert Dogs, at the end of the day, didn't get a whole lot of kills, but they did help shut down one of the units of Noble Retinue, and, you know, were harassing in the back line. Did some good work. Same with the Knights and Carmine. They did some great work in the back line there, helping clean up some of the Royal Guard and, you know, some of these other units. So, very close game. Like I said, well played to JonTaun. Thanks again, and I hope you guys enjoyed that modded battle. I guess we can go look at a few things from the mod while I've got you here. Nope, not that. There we go. So, yep, as you can see from her stats, she's definitely a caster. She does have access to the Lore of Death, which is very good. You guys saw me use a bit of Spirit Leech there. And some of these other abilities she's got the same Duplicari ability, which is very good. Of course, Rally, Poison Stiletto, which is what gives her poison attack, a constant self-buff, and plus 30% armor piercing. So, you know, I saw this ability and I didn't really pay close attention to her combat stats. Definitely should have paid more attention, but this is more of just a last resort. Stunning Beauty, basically immune to psychology, aura, like we've seen elsewhere. And then she also has this Vial of Poison, which is map-wide, causes vigor reduction to enemy lords and heroes, as well as increased ability recharge. So very interesting. Looks like it also does a direct damage. Very interesting. Looks like this is... I didn't get to use this ability, but it's looks like a potion. Let's see. Affects allies in range. Okay. Interesting. Remains in play. I'm not sure what that means. Damage, causes damage to self. Okay, so it's kind of like a self buff, but it looks like it does cause damage. Interesting. And then this Lucrezia's Kiss basically gives poison attack and you know, armor piercing to a certain unit. So very, very good. Great abilities overall. I didn't get a chance to use many of them, but it's pretty tough. Let's go take a look at Borjo. So Borjo, we looked at most of his abilities, but looks like he's got a few other standard sort of things. And yep, able to carry some potions, no healing potion, but of course he does have that regeneration ability. As you guys can see, they've added a lot of units. All the regiments of renown are for Tilea, Estalia, and Border Princes. They're available to any of them. But then each of them also has dwarves, the dwarf artillery, and they do have unique units. Like for Tilea, they've got these Republican Guard, which are a heavily armored halberd unit. Interesting. They've also got some Pavis crossbowmen, like you guys saw. They've also got the Stardozan Pirates, which are kind of like crappy. I guess not crappy. They're about the same price as the Free Company Militia, but they do have this melee attack imbuement, -5 attack, -5 defense. That's interesting. They've also got some good cavalry options, as well as these carabiners, which are kind of like armor-piercing missile cav, similar to Outriders. Very, very fun stuff. So you didn't get to see Border Princes, but hopefully I'll be able to record a battle with them over the next few days. They've also got some fun units like these Border Rangers, which are a very good horse archer. They've also got these Swashbucklers, which are kind of like a heavy, what would you call them? Like a heavy Free Company Militia. They've got these Border Rangers on foot, which are, again, kind of a hybridized unit a little bit. Very fun stuff. So definitely recommend you guys check out the mod. I hope you enjoyed that modded battle, and we'll have more modded battles coming up soon, more mod spotlights. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.